At this time, I will call the June 16, 2021 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Meeting starts at 7:11 p.m. Joanne Chester, Matt Cho, Ashley McLaughlin,
Here.
Nancy Utman,
Here.
Charles Warmbrum,
Here.
and Harvey Welch.
Here, we have a quorum. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda.
Hello.
At this time, I will take approval of the minutes of the May 19th, 2021 meeting. Have all board members had a chance to look at those? If so, would have a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes from the Zoning Board of Appeals 2021 as written.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. May I have a roll call, please?
Ashley McLaughlin,
Yes.
Nancy Utman,
Yes.
Charles Warmbrum,
Yes.
and Harvey Welch.
Yes. Are there,
And was the second from Nancy Utman?
there's some Ashley.
Ashley.
We now have Joanne Chester on board. Are there any continued public hearings?
There are not.
At this time, then we will move on to new public hearings. And I call for hearing ZBA 2021-C-01, a request by Rosecrans Inc., represented by Daniel Roosh, for a conditional use permit to allow operation of a medical supply facility at 706 Killarney Street in the N1 Light Industrial Office Zoning District. Do we have a staff report, please?
Yes, you do. I will share my screen with you. I'd like to say that Daniel Roosh and David Newton are here to speak on behalf of the application. And so if they could be promoted to panelists, that would be great. Daniel Roosh requests a conditional use permit to operate an intravenous fluid mixing facility at 706 Killarney Street in the IN1 Light Industrial Office Zoning District. Rosecrans Incorporated owns the property and is negotiating a lease with Coriam CVS, which would operate the facility. Staff recommends the board approve the proposed conditional use permit. The proposed site is a 3,240 square foot suite in the Lincoln Commerce Center Office Park, located between North Lincoln Avenue and Killarney Street, south of Interstate 74. Nearby uses include the Roadway Inn, Urbana Garden Family Restaurant, Hendricks House's Betsy's Bistro, and undeveloped portions of the Urbana Country Club. The site and land is zoned IN1. To the northeast and west is zoned B3 General Business, and to the south is zoned IN1 and County Ag 2. The area is designated for future land uses of light industrial to the south and east and on the site, regional business to the north and west, and institutional to the southeast. The proposed IV fluid mixing facility is considered a surgical, medical, dental, and mortuary instruments and supplies manufacturing use and is permitted in the IN1 zoning district with a conditional use permit and is consistent with the IN1 district's intent, which includes, quote, limited manufacturing and industrial activities that will not have an adverse effect on the district. Coram CVS is a proposed operator and provides home infusion and tube therapy products and services. The business mixes IV fluids, both nutritional and antibiotic, which are delivered by nurses to patients in their homes. Each Coram CV, and so what you're seeing on the screen now is the Lincoln Commerce Center. The proposed site is enclosed by the yellow square, currently the site of Illini CrossFit. Here you see the parking lot side with the suite entrance to the left. And here you see the rear of the site showing the docking bay doors and staff entrance door that's available to the site. Each Coram CVS location includes a pharmacy area, a clean room in which the IV fluid packs are mixed, storage, a general office area, restrooms, and break area. Business hours would be 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Coram CVS will employ 6 to 8 full-time staff at this location. Nurses are away most of the day, delivering packs to patients in their home and consolidate deliveries to minimize traffic at the facility itself. There will be no visitor traffic to the site. There's no wholesale or commercial retail sales to individual customers. 2 to 3 box truck deliveries per week would be received at the building's rear loading dock. Here is the proposed floor plan. There'd be interior walls built into the existing floor plan. The proposed use meets the 3 requirements for a conditional use permit. It is conducive to the public convenience at this location because of its proximity to Interstate 74 and North Lincoln Avenue, allowing the operator to easily service the Champaign-Urbana market. The existing building has a rear loading area to receive deliveries and sufficient parking to meet minimum requirements, as well as amenities for Coram CVS employees. Secondly, the proposed facility would not be injurious or detrimental to the IN1 zoning district because it would be located in an industrial flex building hosting other office, health services, light assembly, and office uses. Operating hours are similar to other uses in the center with no nighttime or weekend activity. Product components and final solutions are not hazardous, and the assembly process would produce no odors and little noise. Finally, the existing building and proposed use comply with the regulations of and preserve the character of the IN1 district. No expansion or alterations are planned to the building's exterior, with all renovations on the interior. The Zoning Board of Appeals may also impose such additional conditions and requirements to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. Findings are summarized in the staff report. Highlights include that Rosencrantz owns the center in the IN1 light industrial zoning district, and Coram CVS proposes to operate a fluid mixing facility at this address. The Zoning Board of Appeals has the following options in case ZBA 2021-C01 approve the conditional use as submitted, or approve the conditional use along with any additional conditions, or deny the conditional use as submitted. Staff recommends that the ZBA approve the proposed conditional use permit in case ZBA 2021-C01 as submitted. That's the end of the staff report, and I am free to answer questions, and the applicants are also here to answer questions.
Thank you, Marcus. Are there any questions for staff? Hearing none. Is the applicant or a representative from the applicant wish to be heard?
Would the camera operator promote Daniel Roush and David Newton to panelists, please? If that's necessary, I'm not sure.
There we go. Do either of you wish to be heard tonight?
No.
No, nothing
No.
to Marcus's description.
No?
Is there any questions?
All right.
Correct. This is David Newton. We can just answer any questions if there were anything else that that you needed.
Excuse me. All right. And my apologies for the delay. Are there any questions for the applicant? Hearing
No.
none. I'm sorry.
This is Nancy. I say no.
Okay. All right, hearing no questions. Is there anyone present who wishes to be heard in support of? Is there anyone present who wishes to be heard in opposition? Hearing none, are we ready to then call the matter for motion and vote?
I move that we approve the conditional use as submitted in the case of ZBA 2021-C-01.
It's been moved. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Can we then call this for vote, please?
Joanne Chester,
Oh, yes.
Ashley McLaughlin,
Yes.
Nancy Uteman,
Yes.
Charles Warmbrun,
Yes.
and Harvey Welch.
Yes, that motion is approved. And since it's conditional use, I guess it needs no further action, correct?
That is correct.
All right. At this time, we call for hearing ZBA 2021 minimum-01, a request by Jeffrey Posh Architect PLLC on behalf of Brendan Harley and Catherine Clancy for a minor variance to allow an addition to be built 3 feet 9 inches from the south property line in the required 5-foot side yard at 1009 South Douglas Avenue in the R2 Single Family Residential Zoning District. Do we have a staff report, please?
Yes. This is a request by Jeffrey Poss, Architect PLLC, on behalf of Brendan Hartley and Catherine Clancy for a minor variance to allow the homeowners to build a 2-story addition that encroaches 1 foot 3 inches into the required side yard at 1009 South Douglas Avenue. Staff received 1 letter of public input. It was in opposition to the variance, and the basis, and that was included in your packet. Staff finds that the case meets the variance criteria and recommends that the ZBA approve the request. This is a location map of the property. It is in the West Urbana neighborhood across from Carl Park to the east, and the applicants have owned the property since 2010. The existing house and garage encroach into the required side yard 3 feet 9 inches and, from the south property line, and the proposed addition would have that same encroachment. And this request represents a 25% reduction in the required side yard, so a minor variance is required. This is a zoning map of the property. The property is zoned R2, single family residential, and the adjacent properties are also zoned R2 and CRE zoning across the street for Carl Park. This is a site photo of the existing garage. The request is for a variance to allow a 2-story addition to encroach 1 foot 3 inches into the required side yard. The homeowners would like to remove the existing garage and replace it with a better integrated addition that would include a workout room and a 2nd-story study loft. The variance would allow the proposed addition to be built in line with the existing house. A similar variance was applied for at this property and approved in 2016 to allow for a garage expansion with the same encroachment. However, the applicants never pursued that expansion, and now they're applying for the same variance for a slightly different project. The proposed addition would meet all other development regulations for the R2 zoning district. The homeowners have decreased their need for automobiles and have recently become a one-car household. Even with the removal of the garage, there would be enough space in the driveway for 2 required parking spaces. The addition would also create more green space by including an entrance courtyard. This is a site plan of the proposed project, and the addition is on the lower half of your screen, if you can see my mouse here. To summarize, staff found that the application meets the requirements for the requested variance. The existing house does not meet the 5-foot side yard requirement as it encroaches 1 foot 3 inches into the south yard, and the proposed addition would be built in line with the house. The homeowners did not deliberately create the situation, as the house has been on the property for over 50 years, encroaching into the required side yard. And the variance would also not create a nuisance, as the addition would be the same distance from the property line as the existing house and garage. The Zoning Board of Appeals has the following options with this minor variance. You can either approve the variance as requested, approve the variance with certain terms and conditions, or deny the variance. Staff recommends approval of the minor variance with the condition that the addition generally conforms to the site plan and Exhibit D. And the applicant is here and can answer any technical questions, and I can take any technical questions for staff.
Thank you, Kat. Are there any questions for staff? Yes, Ashley.
Just a clarification on the site plan, it looks like, and I think you already said this, but just to clarify, it looks like the bottom left, well, basically the house as it exists already encroaches. They are demolishing the garage, but even with that demolishing, there's still a part of the house that encroaches. So it's not like they have an opportunity to not encroach because they're not demolishing the entire portion of the house that already encroaches.
Exactly. So
Okay.
where they're putting the addition is where the existing garage is. That back half, that back corner is still going to be there regardless
Okay.
of whether or not the addition is built.
Thank you. That was it.
Are there, excuse me, are there any more questions for staff? Thank you, Kat. Does the applicant or representative wish to be heard?
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Poss. I'm happy to answer any questions about the project that you may have. I think the description and the question were accurate and pretty straightforward. This is Karma, by the way. I can't talk on Zoom without her being a part of the activity.
So you have no statements you want to make, you just
No.
are available for questions, all right. Are there any questions for Mr. Posh? Hearing none, we thank you. There's no one present wishes to be heard in favor. No one present who wishes to be heard against. I know, could you, just for the record, I guess, since we are on Zoom, just briefly summarize the letter that was in the packet? Kat?
Yeah, sure. So that letter was received from the property owners of 2 properties in this general vicinity, and a little bit of background on their properties, and it was pretty much included in the letter. They did pretty substantial work on a property at 508, I think it's 508 West Indiana. And they opted to do the work without any variances. They had worked with the city to be able to do their construction on their house without any variances. So the letter was essentially in opposition to this request, as they believed that the addition could be built without any variances if they decided to move it 1 foot and 3 inches further, north, then it would not require a variance.
Thank you. If there's no more discussion, then are we ready to have the case called for vote, for motion, I'm sorry.
There's one point that I could make. I probably should have made it before, if that's okay.
I suppose technically, since you're not responding to a question, I should probably swear you in.
Oh, okay.
You swear that any testimony you give here tonight will be true and accurate to the best of your belief.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I just want to say that they did solicit information. I don't know if that was, Kat, if that was in the package or not, but there's full support for the project by the neighbor to the south, who is probably the one that is most affected by this addition that's going to be added to it.
Thank you. Based on what was just said, is there any questions then for Mr. Posh? Did you want to go ahead, Kat? You want to say something?
Yeah, I can confirm that that is the case. That was something that was written in with the original variance application in 2016. So it was not included in your most recent packet, but they are in support of the variance.
Again, if there's no further discussion, are we ready to call for a motion?
Sure, I move that we approve the variance as requested with the following approve the minor variance for ZBA 2021-MIN-01 with the following condition, that the addition generally conforms to the site plan in Exhibit D.
It's been moved. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that, Nancy.
All right. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we ready for call the motion for a vote, please.
Sorry, muted. Nancy Utman,
Yes.
Chambron,
Yes.
Harvey Welch,
Yes.
Joanne Chester,
Yes.
and Ashley McLaughlin.
Yes.
That motion carries and is approved. Thank you, Mr. Posh.
Thank you very much.
Is there any old business?
No, there is not.
Is there any new business?
No, there is not.
There's no audience, is there?
No, there is not.
All right. Is there a staff report?
There is no staff report,
All right. Study session?
and there is no study session.
Then at this time, I move that we be adjourned. Thank you all.